Recording. Okay, we are good to go. If you guys want to head over to Twitch on your phone, you can see my cool layout that I've made.
Maybe I don't want to see your cool layout, okay?
Fine.
Maybe we'll decide if it's a cool layout.
Yeah, exactly.
have to
Don't
look at
put
it
that
first.
on me.
How do I know? How does Hex work as a bonus action, Keith?
You just
because it says casting
So,
time is one bonus action.
Yeah.
Okay.
So remember you can only if you cast a spell on your as a bonus action, your main action has to be a cantrip. So that's why most warlocks, like if you remember how Vice played, I'll Hex and then Eldritch Blast. And
I have Eldritch Blast.
Rinse and repeat.
Interesting.
Apparently, according to you guys, we are attempting to stay alive or survive despite Tim's contrary to what Tim wanted.
Tim?
That's what the update, the pop-up notification for Twitch was different. It wasn't updated. So it said trying to survive.
It doesn't update all the time.
Right. No, I'm just giving you a hard time because I can't tell you how many times I've gone live on Twitch where I'm like, okay, I have this really cool thing and I forgot to hit save before I started. And then it's like playing Cult of the Lamb. And I'm like, will I draw the right cards? As I'm like used to playing Hearthstone or something bizarre like that. It's funny.
That still applies to Cult of the Lamb. Will you draw the right cards?
That's fair. You make a good point.
The layout looks really pretty, Clayton.
Thank you.
It does.
Very
It looks
nice.
fantastic.
I know we're not in combat yet, and we just started the stream and the video, but let me just show off the combat.
It's funny because it has a delay, so you're like,
Yeah,
way
to the
for it's like,
audience.
Hey,
it's
hey!
perfectly-
that's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So,
like that.
It'll be relatively similar with the 6 of us. Obviously, us 3 will be a little bit smaller, and it'll be just a 2x3 square. Jesse will stay big at the top, and then the battle map will be right there. So, should be looking
That's
pretty
spicy.
And then ideally, when we get our character art done, and as we kind of develop maybe some different maps and character art, the map in this plain Jane just party stream will be a slideshow that kind of every so often will switch to like a character with their stats or a battle map that we've played before or, that
Cool.
kind of stuff. So
That's so fun.
yeah.
Can you see how many people are watching?
You
yes.
can. Right now we have 3.
Which is us.
Which is us.
Yeah.
Who isn't watching?
Yeah, what the hell, guys?
I for sure am watching. I have it on my phone.
To be fair, I don't think it actually calls out the host. Whoever the host is, I don't think it actually calls out.
This is weird. This is my first time on Twitch, and I keep looking over and seeing the delay. Like I have it on mute, but like I look over, it's like that was me a few seconds ago. Like,
Yeah, it's really weird because
Welcome.
Twitch has like a built-in delay of close to. I think if you don't change anything, I think it's close to 15 seconds. I think you can scale it all the way down to a 3-second delay. It doesn't really matter for stuff like this because it doesn't change much, but.
We're going to be doing our own thing, not responding to
Okay.
chat. So, all right. Well, I'm ready to start when you are. Jesse, since you're the dungeon master, do you want to say, hey, welcome? Do you want us to say, hey, welcome? Keep in mind that Corbin is going to do a scripted recap at the beginning of each episode. So it's going to be a last time on Nerd D&D. This happened.
I think it's fine for you guys to introduce. Then if he's doing the recap, I think it makes sense for one of you guys to introduce. And then I can just take it off from gameplay standpoint. If I feel like it ever needs to change at some point, I'll let you know. But it makes sense and it would make sense for Corbin to introduce if he's going to read the recap as well, I would think.
I'm cool with that. Just not in the anime ultra fashion. Please.
Yes. Actually, I take it back. Let's just stick with the traditional Nerdosphere introduction. You give us the introduction and then introduce him as the recap. Let's just do it that way. I think that makes the most sense.
Oh, okay, that's a good idea. So I'll introduce it, and then we'll say, "And here's your recap from last week."
Yeah.
And then we'll.
Last time on Nerd D&D.
Oh God, it better not. Sound
And then
like
we'll
that.
edit that out post
Yeah.
every
It
episode.
better not sound like that. All right, so let's get started. Hello and welcome to Nerd D&D. We are a product of the Nerdosphere. This is Campaign 1. Join us as we dive deep into the worlds of Dungeons and Dragons. This is a all-original campaign set in the world of
Tezra.
Tezra.
Sorry, my notes were on
No,
the
you're
wrong
good.
page. Set in the world of Tezra, we are starting at level 1. I am one of the players, Clayton, playing as Nelisian. We are also joined, as always, on Nerdosphere Products by Corbin, playing as Yana. We are joined
Hello,
tonight
everybody.
by newcomer Keith, playing as Zog. And
That's
of
me.
course, we are joined by Jesse, the Dungeon Master, who will be leading our adventures.
Dungeon
This
Daddy.
is episode 0 of Nerd D&D.
Nerd is a trademark of the Nerdosphere.
That's right.
Exactly.
PMs and copyrights of the Nerd D&D all I don't even remember what they say. What do they say in the small script of that where they're like everything?
They say
Copyright
is
owned by...
I love how they speed that part up and then they're like property of the Nerdosphere. Like it's like they take the last 2 words and actually make it legible or whatnot. But
Yes.
I'm going to slow down for the branding.
Cool. All right. So as I have kind of alluded to with you guys, I will go ahead and jump in. I will give you a little bit of background on the world of Tezra, kind of what brings you to where we're at, give you a little bit of the political climate, all that type of stuff. So for those of you who don't know on Twitch or are listening to us on the podcast, the players have come in relatively blind, where I've given them a little bit of backstory, but this is a story or world in which I want them to feel like they can explore in their own time. So the details that I'm going to give them are kind of overall big scope pictures of where the world of Tezra is as a whole, and where we're moving from here on out is going to be up to the player's discretion, so on and so forth. But as of right now, you guys find yourself in the continent of Tezra. So Tezra is an island continent. In the scope of the rest of the world, which I'm not going to get into right now, it is located in the southwestern hemisphere. So it is, for the most part, I guess maybe a more warm climate than most of the rest of the world, being where it is located. Tezra, as of right now, based upon what you guys know, is ruled by a house or a faction known as the House of Tanlan. They have established power within the last 500 years or so within this continent. Something to note, and if you actually want to transition us scenes real quick on Twitch, you'll actually see, oh, you already did. Perfect. This is kind of a more in-depth look of the world. So with the, I guess, establishment of the House of Tanlan, Gallo has become the capital of the continent, located on the western side of the map, a little bit more, I guess, southern, if you really want to get down to it, but very close to smack dab in the center on the western side. Something you guys should know is that Gondolin, located in the northern hemisphere of this continent, was actually the power that was before Tanlan took over. So Gondolin actually was located its central city back when the Empire of Gondolin was a thing before Tanlon came into the picture. It was kind of located on the border of the wintry mountain range that we see there, kind of bordering the forest of Forminos, where once they had that power struggle between Gondolin and Gallo when the Tanlon Empire kind of took over, they actually, it not only did it didn't only, so let me start over here. So the idea behind Gondolin, what you need to know is long before the house or the empire of Tanlon is taken over, they were the center of power. They were well known for their trade across the continent, all that type of stuff. And when the power of Tanlon started to come about, Gondolin didn't enjoy sharing power. So they actually went to war against what is known as Gallo now, where Gallo and Gondolin actually had a struggle for power there for a while. The end all be all from that is that Gondolin lost pretty handedly. And not only did they lose the war, but they got pushed back into the recess of the wintry mountains. And almost all that has been known of Gondolin up to this point has actually been kind of lost to history over the last 500 years because they've been so pushed out of existence that there's just not a lot known about them. Kind of talking about the rest of the map, you have a couple of key cities. Forminos is kind of known as one of the primary, or if not the primary, or if not a primary, the primary elven city within Tezra. So it's where a lot of the elf inhabitants find themselves. They're more attuned to nature in this specific breed of elven community, whatever you want to call it. From there, you kind of go down to Edgewater, where Edgewater is known as a fishing city. It is a port city that does a lot of trade between Edgewater and White Ridge. So you see a lot of trade from there, but Edgewater is distinctly known as a fishing town attached to a port city. So a lot of Gallows and White Ridge's fish supply actually comes from there, because if you're looking at the map, Gallo is actually centered on a bluff where fishing is extremely difficult. So they don't get a lot of freshwater fish and or amphibious life because of where they're located. From there, you go to Kegborum. Kegborum is actually, even though it's indicated on the map as a city on the top, it's actually one of the last known dwarven cities within Tezra. So even though it's dictated by a location on a map on the surface, to get to Kegborum, you actually have to go within the mountains, find the entrance to the Kegborum city. It's kind of the last well-known dwelling of dwarves within the world of Tezra. Creighton and White Ridge, there's not a whole lot outside of White Ridge being a port city that makes it stand out, similar to either Kegborum or Forminos, where they're kind of set aside because of the populace of them is either, for the most part, strictly elven, strictly dwarven. You're kind of getting more of a melting pot within Creighton and White Ridge in particular, where it's more whoever wants to inhabit this area gets to inhabit it. It's not really distinguished by the race and or people that inhabit those areas. It's kind of a well-known melting pot because they're kind of the biggest cities separated from Gallo. So it's where people have migrated over the years, with Gallo getting a little bit more populated. Lockwood, the reason I have it located or marked on the map right now, is actually where your adventurers are going to find themselves tonight. I'll kind of give you guys a more in-depth view as to what the world of Tezra is. So about 500 years ago, the House of Tanlon came into power, and through that power brought prosperity. So across the continent of Tezra, you have this almost like unheard of prosperity and peace that has kind of swept over the land until roughly about 200 years ago. So Tanlon came into power about 500 years ago. About 300 years went by with almost no rocking of the ship. Once they established power or wrestled power away from Gondolin, almost everything kind of just fell in part or fell in step. Within the last 200 years or so, they kind of the continent of Tezra got afflicted by something known as nightmares. There wasn't a whole lot known about these nightmares at the time, but gradually over about 20 or so years, the nightmares started to ramp up. People's dreams started getting affected, where a lot of restless sleep, a lot of agitation across the whole continent. It wasn't just one particular city or town. It started in a condensed area and slowly spread, where there for about 20 or 25 years or so, we had nightmares, disastrous dreams, that type of stuff kind of plaguing the land. And in a hope to kind of right the ship here, the House of Tanlon decided, okay, let's reach out to the Kalish Star. The Kalish Star have kind of established themselves as somebody that deals with dream state, or at least has an understanding of that. So they brought in like a council of Kalish Star diplomats that actually came from, at the time, the bordering area of where Gondolin was, and Farminos, and they brought them in as this council. And what was thought to be an act of like trying to right the ship quickly turned into the House of Tanlon was looking for a scapegoat. So what they ended up doing is they ended up pegging all of the disruption of nightmares and the dream state on the Kalish Star. And what ended up happening with the pinning of that onto the Kalish Star was a banishment of all Kalish Star. So they actually ended up getting banished to the waste. The location of the Kalish Star, based upon what we know of the race or the waste, is ever moving. So the point of interest, I guess, would probably be the town or city that is yet to be named on the map, just below the titling of the waste, where most of the time, if people want to go and mingle with the Kalish Star, that's the direction within the waste they're attempting to make it to. But because of the nature of the waste being so desolate and so hard on the people that are there, you have come to find out that the Kalish Star are ever moving. So while you have kind of a set location on where you think you'll find them, subject to change once you get into the waste. Because of the banishment of the Kalish Star, we have kind of come to a dividing of the continent again. While not as severe as Gallo versus Gondolin, you've kind of come to this realization that there are two factions that have arisen from here, which are the House of Tanlon supporters that understand that while the banishment of all Kalish Star people might have been a little bit harsh, or even a little bit on the aggressive side, they support it because life had to get back to where it was. And whether a coincidence or not, the banishment of the Kalish Star actually brought down the level or the severity of the nightmares and plagued dream state that the world was kind of suffering through at the time. So you have a group of people that are okay with the banishment because it brought some stability to their day-to-day lives. And that faction is just known as the House of Tanlon. While the Tanlon is, I guess, technically set up as a dynasty or an empire, for the sake of this, dividing it into two factions or houses, we're calling it the House of Tanlon. The other house is the House of Dalcor. The House of Dalcor is, I wouldn't say Kalish Star sympathizers, but they're ones that understand that there may have been more that the Kalish Star could have offered from the standpoint of understanding the dream world a little bit more, understanding why we were plagued by nightmares, why the continent of Tezra was plagued. And that's kind of the precipice we sit on right now, where we have a continent that's slightly divided, while not immediately driving a wedge or starting up a war one direction or another. You start seeing people picking factions. And yeah, that's about the political state of where we're at with Tezra. So the rest is up for you guys to figure out as players, and where you stand from that standpoint and the direction you want to go. If you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. I know I gave a little bit of background there. If you guys need any clarification on anything, please let me know. If not, I can kind of set this scenario in which brings all three of you to Lockwood.
I personally do not have any questions. I know I
None.
asked a bunch of
Just-
questions before we started, so
Just that I want our custom map made to hang in front of my face.
Right?
One question.
Yes.
Did you make this map on Incarnate?
We actually had this map custom made.
Oh, nice.
So yeah,
So they
I
might
think
have.
it was. Yeah, I was gonna say I was somebody through Fiverr, wasn't it, Clayton?
yeah. And the program is World Atlas or something like that.
Nice.
Don't quote me on it, but it's something like that.
Not sponsored.
Yeah,
No.
because we have the
So-
source file
Yes.
for whatever program it is,
Yeah,
but we
you
don't
could
own the
sponsor
program.
us, though.
So, but yeah, it turned out really good. I really like the map, and if you're listening to us,
It is nice.
I don't know, we'll tweet it out or something. But the map is very good.
Yeah, the map turned out really well, and what's fun about it was, so as some of you guys may know who've listened to the podcast before, I feel like I'm a creative person. I'm not creative when it comes to artistic talent with drawing or anything like that. So being able to put my thoughts on paper and then give that to an artist to run with it, it actually turned out very well, where they hit a lot of the nails on the head that I was hoping for. So I'm very pleased with how it turned out. And I'm excited for you guys to get to explore the continent a little bit more. Should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, this map was definitely a win because we didn't even have to have it revisioned. We didn't have to send it back for any revisions. It just turned out super great from the beginning. So
Nice.
Yeah. Okay. So why you guys are in Lockwood, without giving, actually, I want to rewind it back here. I want to give each of you guys an opportunity to tell me a little bit more about your characters, tell the audience a little bit more about your characters. So I don't want you guys to give away giant chunks of your backstory, but kind of give us a reason, for why. Not even a reason. Just give me a little bit of flavor for your characters. Give me a description of who they are, what your race and class is, and then just give me a little bit of flavor on what makes your character tick, essentially, and then we can lead into why you guys are in Lockwood.
let's start with Yana because you're at the top of the
Me?
visual screen.
What is there not to say about Yana? Yana is my pride and joy. Yana is everything that I wish I could be and everything that I shouldn't be. Yana is the most self-serving and selfless character you'll ever meet. He has a heart of gold, but a tongue of silver. And he always has his trusty bagpipes along for the ride to help entertain the masses as they run away, so that way he can steal their purses as they flee the table too quickly. He is plagued with a burden of not knowing where he is. He's plagued with a burden of believing something interesting about his identity that others may not believe. So right now he is a wandering, bagpiping, half-elf buffoon who hopefully will continue to find his soul in the world.
And a fun little bit of flavor about Yana for some of you that may or may not be familiar with some of the D&D stuff we've done in the past is that the reason Keith was holding up the heart there is Keith has had some, I guess, first level experience with Yana over the last, 6 to 8 months in your own campaign.
We're first to about 9th level.
Yeah.
No, I don't remember.
So, and you may have said this. Did you list your appearance, race, class, all that type of stuff? Because you talked about what makes Yana tick. Did you kind of give us
himself? No.
Okay, cool.
Did not. So for those who are at home listening and the visuals, Yana is, he's a slender guy. He's toned. He's not too buff. He's not too macho. He likes the finer things in life. He wants, doesn't want to put too much effort really into anything. So with that comes a nice slender build. He also loves the finer things. So he has long, luxurious, white, silky hair. Adorned on his head is a nice little crown that is a family heirloom, as well as his grandfather's scarlet pendant that he wears around his neck. And with it, he always likes to make a statement. So he walks around in lavender robes underneath his leather armor. And he's got a sword on his hip and a bagpipe on his back, baby.
Perfect. I like it. I have a special place in my heart for bards. I'm all about this. I don't know who you want to go to next, Clayton, but I'll leave it to your Keith to decide who would like to talk about their character next.
Keith, why don't you go ahead, buddy?
Okay. Okay. So picture in your mind a busy, bustling tavern. It's raining outside, stormy even. The door swings open, and there standing is about a 6'8" tall figure. The lightning crashes, and it looks like you can see he's standing in kind of half slouched, half rigid pose. One hand on his hip. You see the silhouette of a whip at his side, and it looks like he's wearing a fedora with a wide brim. When he steps into the light of the bar room, you see that he's not wearing a fedora, but he is a bugbear with his ears sticking out exactly horizontally. He scans the room, looking for his desired prey. So I play Zog, who is a bugbear, works as a mercenary, mostly for House Tanlin, hunting down stray Kalashtar who refuse to leave after being exiled. And I guess mostly classic bugbear look, scraggly fur, kind of tusks jutting out from his mouth. I said he was 6'8". If you can imagine the lankiest arms you ever saw, make him lankier. Standing at 6'8", his hands probably reach to like just above his knees, standing straight up, and wields a whip and is wearing scale mail armor.
What color is your
Nice.
fur?
Like brown.
Brown. Okay.
Sweet. I like the whole fedora tease into the sideways ears. All right, Clayton, take us away.
Yes. I play a Shadar-kai elf, which is a subrace of elf that is stuck between life and death. I have lived in the forests of Forminos for most of my 335 years. Most recently, since elves are so long-lived, they tend to do lots of different things in their life. True Renaissance men, because they have the time to do so. Most recently, Nelisian, which is my name, spent time in the Forminos Guard, even though the continent has enjoyed relative peace for the last several hundred years. Forminos still has an army or a guard to protect its forest. During the nightmare, some of the elves were affected slightly differently. They weren't just affected by nightmares on a nightly basis, but some found themselves in a comatose state. They fell asleep and never woke up. So during the entirety of the nightmares, some elves were unfortunate enough to not wake up for several decades. And Nelisian was one of those. And he finds himself on this side of the continent because he's looking for answers. He is pale of skin. His hair, which was once blonde, has lost its fiber and is now almost white, and his once brilliant blue eyes are now almost gray. So the elves who found themselves caught in this slumber not only were in this comatose state, but seemingly the color and the life was drained from them during this time. So part of the reason he's wandering now is because one, he's no longer down with his fellow kin looking at him in a suspicious way, but also because he wants to find out if there's anything that can be done for him and his afflicted kin. So.
Yeah, and so then to kind of double down on that a little bit for you guys is that while the I guess the effects of the nightmare state that had plagued Tezra for a little while are well known across the board for sleepless nights, a lot of agitation across the board. It also manifested in some physical ways, which is what Nelisian was talking about in this state, where while most people were able to escape the idea of being affected in a physical state of appearance, not all were able to escape that. So it was almost served as a branding for people that, whether right or wrong, people associated with people with this type of physical appearance or change with almost the same as the Kalishtar, where it was they were affected in a way that manifested physically. So it was a lot easier to pinpoint some of the blame on them as well, which has led to the seeking of knowledge and or answers on how to remedy this situation that has brought Nelisian out of Farminos. So that's a reason, one of the reasons why we would find Nelisian here within Lockwood. Another reason why we'd find Zog here within Lockwood is because each year there's a well-known festival that happens within Lockwood around this time of year where some of you in the actual Twitch world or whatever would know it as Halloween. People within the continent of Tezra know it as Hollow's End, where it's kind of like a celebration of the dead, celebration of kind of a spooky atmosphere. And because of the spooky nature of all of this, sometimes the Kalishtar end up venturing out of the waste into Lockwood to participate in this because it allows them to feel like they're closer to the spiritual and or dream world that they have come to know and love. Yana, in his need for exploration as to what has plagued him in future lives, has ended up here as well, having experienced certain otherworldly voices that he's combated a little bit, that have led him to here in Lockwood at this time to seek answers, to see if it's him going crazy, if it's him just not knowing how to handle his inner thoughts. He thought that maybe Lockwood would offer some insight if he could talk to the correct people. So I'm going to set the mood for Lockwood right now. Lockwood is kind of this town on the line or on the border of the waste that isn't as populated as Creighton. It's kind of a well-known, prosperous village with its circumference to Gallo, where you have some traditional shops there, a blacksmith, library, schools, you name it. It's probably there on a lesser level than that of Gallo or even White Ridge. It's bordered to the waste, so you have this kind of hesitancy of people to really fully embrace Lockwood because of where it's bordered. They're concerned that if the Kalishtar were to make a move in rebellion, that Lockwood might be one of the first on the list to fall. So while it's not ever shown that within the last 200 years or so with the banishment of the Kalishtar, it's a little bit of a concern, which is why maybe the level of prosperity hasn't hit that of, say, White Ridge or Creighton. And the scene that you guys see when you guys walk into this village is kind of a spooky setting. They've done really well with embracing kind of the feel of a Hollow's End, where lots of candles lit in the windows, not a lot of excess light. You kind of are coming here around dusk. And as you wander in, it almost reminds you a little bit of like that town you would see where things aren't worn down, they're well worn, where it's a lot of people that know each other. It's a lot of people that are kind of in community with each other, because while they get support from Gallo and White Ridge, with their circumference to the waist, it's a little bit harder to preserve and keep maintained. Still a prosperous town. You guys come in, and like I said, they've set up for the Hollows End Festival, where you have a lot of shops set up. You have a lot of street vendors. You have kind of like a central stage where people are reenacting some of their campfire stories throughout the year, something that would keep kids up at night. Which is why we will switch scenes here to kind of give you a view here of what to expect within Lockwood here. So Lockwood, as you're looking, like I said, well lit. Nothing too crazy about it, just a well-worn city, some street fairs going on, all that type of stuff. And that is where we find your characters. So the scene has been set for you guys as to why you're here, kind of what drug you into here. I don't know where you guys want to enter from, if you guys want to have existed in this little town or village for a couple of hours, in which case I will throw you guys into a tavern. Just for the sake of getting you guys all into one meeting area. If you guys are just freshly coming into the city, I'll kind of let you take the reins. I don't know what your characters would be doing, so I'll kind of let you guys take the reins from here, and we can make tokens accordingly.
I feel like a tavern definitely works. I feel like, given the circumstances, Yana could really use a stiff cold one.
Perfect. See, do you have a preference on, I guess we have, well, I'll just give you a little token here based on the limited edition tokens that I have here on Roll20 before we get our custom ones going. Find out who I think Yana is. I'm going to pick the ugliest character on here.
It's fucking rude.
I'm just kidding. We'll give you this little, even though you don't have a shield right now, we'll give you a little elf warrior here.
Yana's a handsome devil.
Then we have right now all they had. They don't have, unfortunately, Keith, they don't have any bugbears, so you just get a little archer guy. For Nelician.
One with a whip.
Oh, is there one with a whip? I couldn't find any with.
No worries. I was just kidding. Don't worry.
No, it's funny. I'd actually looked at that when you
a whip.
Fine, I'll find one real quick. I'll just give him a token that is a whip. It's not going to actually be a character. It's just going to be like a spooled thing of rope.
You should have done your Chadwick voice, Clayton.
My Chadwick voice.
Yeah. Raise the defenses and get this man a whip.
Get this man a whip.
And remind me again what weapon you are using, Nelician. Doesn't matter. I guess it doesn't matter all that much.
Sword and shield.
Sword and
Long
shield.
sword
Okay, perfect.
And shield right now.
Perfect. There's like way too many options here for no reason. Actually, I take it back. So this is Clayton's character here, the sword and shield. That makes too much sense. And then we have Yana here as the fighter. This will make more sense until we get you a shield. And this makes more sense here. Okay, so I have your little characters here. The tavern, for prosperity's sake, is this building here. I know Yana wants to be existing within the tavern. I don't know where you two are led to exist. Kind of the central area here with all the tents is kind of the market area. There's not really a rhyme or reason for what stalls are set up where. They just have kind of spread out. It's a lot of food vendors. I don't know if food intrigues your characters at all. Outside of that, the outer skirts of the city here on the outer ring of lights is a lot more of like the civilian housing. So there's not a lot there outside of the tavern, kind of the government shop, which is set up down here, which is closed because of the hour in which you guys are in this village. But outside of that, it's kind of the central market area here in the center. The performing stage is up in the northern part of the map here. And then the tavern, like I said, is where Yana's at. So I don't know where your characters would be led to exist, but feel free to I don't know if I can I assign these to people? I forget, how do I assign these tokens?
Double click on the token.
Okay.
And I will arrive at the tavern.
Okay.
I don't mind arriving last if you have ideas on what you want to do for, how do I say,
Nalisian.
Nalisian. Okay.
Elysian.
I'm giving you guys control of your corresponding characters here as
Oh,
well.
hell yeah. Let's go. Laps around this town.
So if there's a festival going on, I think Nalisian would be interested and probably check out the market a little bit, but he would eventually make his way to the tavern, because while a festival like this is interesting and fun, it is not the reason that he's here. He's just passing through. So he would be looking for a place to sit and a place potentially to stay the night. So he would eventually make his way to the tavern.
All right. So something to note about the vendors, like I said, while Lockwood is a prosperous town, they weren't able to afford to bring in a lot of exotic wares. So the vendors that you see around the area are mainly food vendors, where one of their biggest imports within Lockwood is kind of the last stop before you choose, or whether you choose to or not, enter the waste. This is kind of the last stop where people use Lockwood as an opportunity to stock up on supplies. So while maybe not the most extravagant town when it comes to exotic wares and goods, they're a nice stop for adventurers to come to stock up on supplies, make sure they have the food that's needed before they go into the waste. So you see a lot of food vendors, mainly because that's one of the wares that Lockwood likes to deal in when they do festivals like this, is to offer exotic foods that maybe they don't get the opportunity to sample otherwise, because it's more practical use within their town, where food vendor seems to go the direction that they want. So you're more than welcome to check out the food vendors if that is something that you would like to do. If not, feel free to go into the tavern, sit down, and we can go from there. So whatever you guys want to do, I'm going to kind of give you guys the opportunity to do what you want to as characters, since I've set the scene, and we can go from there.
Nalisian has been on the road for quite a while, so he will have a look at some of the food carts, food tents. What kind of food do we have? What does he see?
So the stalls right in front of the three immediate stalls, if you're standing there kind of at near the entrance of the tavern, in front of you, you're going to see a more, I guess, for the lack of a better term, sushi-esque vendor, where it's more fresh meat, seafood in particular. That's the leftmost stall. In the center, you kind of have more what you would have come to believe as traditional festival foods, a lot of fried stuff, turkey legs, that type of thing. And then off to the right is actually a vegan food option. So you kind of get the plethora of food there in front of you. You get some fresh food. To the left, which is more sushi style, you have the more traditional fair food in the center, and then the vegan options. And then off to the right comes like a wafting smell of like a sweet treat style shop. So that's a little bit off to the right. You don't see it in your immediate plane of view, but you do get a like kind of this like sweet scent coming from the stall slightly around the corner and to the right.
Okay. I will head over to the sushi style and ask the proprietor there if he has anything that I can purchase.
Yeah, so you walk up and you're greeted by probably the closest thing to a merman or mermaid you've seen, where it's a creature that is clearly not doing well on land, but wants to make a profit, right? So he's talking to you, and he kind of has this gargled sense to his voice where you can tell he's not used to talking in traditional air. So he's kind of talking, and he's like, "What can I get for you?" And as he between every sentence, he actually dips his head into this bowl of water he has and takes a big breath and pops back out. And And like as after he takes that big breath, he kind of talks to you, and he's like a more normal tone of voice. He's like, "What can I get for you?" Like it kind of solidifies a little bit.
Yes, I see you have some of your brothers and sisters here.
Oh, don't say that. They're not my
Perhaps.
brothers and sisters. If
Oh.
you are going to insult my wares, and he like dips his face back into the water, he's like, "You can take your business elsewhere."
All right. And I'll walk to the next one.
Perfect. Okay, so are you going to the traditional?
This one has like the next one over has like turkey legs and stuff.
Yeah.
You said?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'll just walk up to that person and I'll take one of your thick turkey legs, please.
This little gnome hops up on a little bar stool behind the bar and is like, "Thick, you say?" And he grabs you a turkey leg off the thing, and to you it looks like a chicken leg. In his opinion, it's thick. He's handing it to you, and he's like, "That will be 2 copper, please."
All right. I take the chicken leg in 2 fingers and kind of look at it for a second, and then hand over the 2 coppers.
Perfect. He pockets it and he goes, "Man, people's definition of thick are different these days." And he like wanders off behind the booth to go restock some turkey legs.
The one who handed it to me.
It was thick, so I don't know what you want.
Nilesian just thinks to himself, he desperately didn't want to offend another shopkeep, and now he has to deal with this tiny chicken leg.
Perfect. Okay, so we're going to shift gears for a second. We're inside the tavern here. So Nilesian has his turkey leg. We have Yana sitting in the tavern. Yana is sitting there. Are you sitting at a table or are you sitting at a bar? Or at the bar or the table?
Yana is waiting on the barkeep to give him another ale.
Another ale. Okay. How many ales are we in at this point?
I've had 3.
Okay, so go ahead and roll me a Constitution check, just to start right off the bat.
First roll of the campaign.
4.
And it's for Yana getting drunk.
Wait, did you say a 4?
Yeah.
Okay. The shopkeep turns around, or the barkeep turns around and is like, "Sir, are you sure you need another one of these? You seem like you're doing pretty well on your end over there."
Barkeep, if you don't hand me another round, I'm going to have to, by duty of the people in this tavern, to play a round of my bagpipe pro bono for free.
Oh.
I desperately need another round of ale, please.
Okay, roll me a perception check real quick as well. The barkeep's, while you're saying all this, the barkeep's eyes kind of bug out a little bit as he hears you say another round on your bagpipe. His eyes get a little bit big.
6.
Okay, so you don't hear him say this, but he mumbles under his breath. He's like, "Yeah, that's what we all need is another round of your bagpipes." And he pours a little bit of ale, and when you're not looking, he's actually watering it down. Because he doesn't want you to even remotely touch your bagpipes, and he knows that if you progress to an even more drunk state than what you are, he can assume you're going to embark on another round of bagpipe songs. So he slides it across to you. He's like, "Do you want me to add it to the tab?"
Yes, please. Add it to my tab.
Perfect. Okay. So
all I have left is this. Yana's looking down in his bag of trinkets that he has. He doesn't have too much to his namesake right now, and he pulls out a lock of hair. And as he's holding it, and tears start welling in his eyes. "This is all I have left of you, Rolo. This is all I have left of you. Dear God, what are you doing? You're making such a fool of yourself. My God, It's really unfortunate that no one else can hear you because you're so fucking hurtful sometimes. Sober up, you piece of shit. I'm like, Rolo. And then
As you're sitting there wallowing in your pain, the person sitting next to the bar reaches over. You've never met this person. Kind of a willowy excuse for a man. Taps you on the back and is like, "We've all been there, my friend. We've all lost a girl or a woman that we have cared about. I'm so sorry for your loss of Rolo. She must have been a wonderful woman." And pats you on the back and goes back to drinking his ale.
Sir, this is far. I wish it was as simple as a broken heart. My relationship with Rolo was more than just the fickle things of love and infatuation. This was brotherhood at its deepest core. He was someone that I knew that no matter what, he would always, if I was needing to jump out of a giant spacecraft, he would take me into his big arms and he would just fly through the air. And I don't know what to do now without that guiding compass. I don't even know how to get back home.
The moment that the old man next to you makes the connection that we're not talking about lost love with another woman, he completely blocks you out. He does not want anything to do with what you just said. He's like, oh, these people crying over. I don't even want to talk about it. And he like moves, he picks his belongings up and moves one step or like one bar stool away from you. It's like, go back to moping. At that point, I know we had Zog getting ready to enter the tavern. Yes.
Knowing that there's a little sushi stand outside, I would like to stop by there, actually.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so you swing by the sushi stand. You walk up and the shopkeep is currently dunking his head in a bucket of water. You see some bubbles come up, and he kind of flounders his head a little bit, and he's like, "I'll never understand why these humans like to breathe air." And he turns around and he sees you there, and he's like, "Oh, I am so sorry. How can I help you?"
Can I have that?
Have what?
I'm going to point to probably a whole fillet of fish that he's getting ready to cut up for many rolls of sushi.
Yeah. So, in fact, as you were asking that, he was gathering his chopping utensils and he was preparing what you believe, again, was a couple of sushi rolls. And he's like, this whole thing? You want all? And he like stops for a second. He dunks his head in the water and he pops up and he's like, you want the whole thing?
Couldn't be more than one fish, right?
Oh, well, I mean, yes, but it's normally a delicacy spread out among many rolls.
I've had fish.
So you just wanted the fish?
Yeah.
Not none of the sides?
You can hit me with the side if you want, I guess. I don't know.
The shopkeep picks up the fish and is like, "Oh man, these land lovers get even more weird."
While he's gathering it together, I'm going to reach over and dunk my hands in the bucket and wash up a little bit.
In the bucket that he has been dipping his face in?
Yes. If he gives me a look, I'll be like, what? Not a savage just because I'm a bugbear. Gotta wash up.
The guy puts the fish back down and he goes, "I am done." And he reaches up and he tucks the tent flap down in front of your face. And all you get is him shoving a half eaten and or prepared fish carcass that has almost no meat left on the bone. And he's like, "Take it, you savage." And he also throws water across the counter as well as the tent flap is coming down.
All right, well, I'll take the carcass and just put it in my pouch and go into the bar.
Perfect. So you walk into the tavern, and you are greeted by the traditional tavern scene. Some instruments and music being played in the corner. There's a not bartender. There's entertainment there where there's actually some country women kind of entertaining the crowd, singing a little bit up on the table, showing a little bit of leg. Nothing too crazy, nothing unexpected. It's just kind of a nightly tavern vibe that you get. Roll me a perception check real quick.
That would be a dirty 20.
Perfect. Okay. So what sticks out to you is a crying person at the bar. You're not quite sure. They seem to be this mixture of very upset while also yelling at something that isn't there, and that's why it catches your attention. It's not the traditional tavern scene per se.
Okay, so I don't want to assume, did traveling through the portal preserve Yana's bleach white hair?
It did.
Yeah.
Kalashtar. I'm going to walk up to the bar.
Perfect. Are you positioning yourself? So there's not a lot of space on your left between Yana and the next person. There is now that empty bar seat on the right-hand side where the old man presumably didn't want to hear about Yana wallowing in their sorrow anymore and left some space there for
I'm
you.
going to stand in between Yana and the man.
Okay. Perfect. So Yana, you're sitting there wallowing in your sorrow, and all of a sudden this giant bugbear walks up beside you and has now taken its spot next to the old man that forsaken you.
Is that a wig?
What? No, it's a lock of hair.
Okay. Well, no, on your head. I know it's Hollow's End. Is that your real hair?
Yeah. Why?
Okay. I'm going to reach into my pouch and grab a pair of manacles and put them on the bar and be like, here, put these on, Kalashtar.
What? Why?
You can't fool me.
What? Okay. Yana will.
Hair whiter than birch bark. And I'm going to reach into my other pouch and I pull out a little strip of bark and kind of just like, yeah, you're Kalashtar.
I don't know who Kalisnar is, but my name is Yana. I'm sorry. This is so unlike me. I have been wallowing in self-pity. But my name is Yana the Great. I go from town to town, being the legendary bagpiper that I am, bringing joyous entertainment wherever I go. And Yana will take a bow as he stumbles and kind of knocks his head on the bar a little bit because he is drunk out of his gourd.
Pretty good. That was entertaining.
Great. You like that? Did that make you laugh?
Can I shake your hand?
Of course you can. Yana will eagerly take out his hand.
Can I sleight of hand my second set of manacles onto his wrist?
You can. I need you to roll for that, though. And then I need you to roll against that if you want to, Yana.
What would I be rolling against?
I would guess an sleight of hand as well. Like, you need to see if you can get your hands away from the manacles being attached to you.
Okay, well, I rolled 11.
Okay, I got 15.
So as you reach in to shake the bugbear's hand, manacles hit your wrist. And it's come to the realization that it is not, you've been duped, essentially, is what has happened. Now, all of a sudden, you're standing there with your hand outstretched to shake his hand, and now you are in manacles.
I'll slap the other side of it onto my own wrist, and I'll sit down at the bar.
What? Why? What is going on? Who are you?
Zog.
Zog? What? Why did you handcuff me?
You're Kalishtar.
No, I'm not. Get these off of me right now.
Give me Nelisian, give me a perception check.
Me? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes. No, you're good.
I thought I was still outside. I wasn't even paying attention. I'm so sorry.
No, so you are still outside, but you are thankfully transitioning from
Yes.
one stall to the next in front of the tavern door.
Perception check on the way. 13.
So you now have been standing there admiring your not so thick turkey leg for quite some time.
Indeed.
In kind of this state of self like contemplation on whether you want to argue and discuss the thickness of this turkey leg with the shopkeep, and you hear a couple of sentences or words coming out of the tavern in a more manic state than what you're used to hearing, but you do hear the word Kalishtar once or twice. If that means anything to you, feel free to walk into the tavern. If not, feel free to keep on what you're keeping on with.
Can I roll for this? Because I don't know if I would know, to be honest. Like how, maybe I would. I'm going to ask you as the DM. Would my character know about the Kalishtar?
So give me a history check here, is what I want actually.
Okay. 13.
So you know from your existence at the age that you're at that a lot of people has associated your state with the Kalishtar. So it would speak to you from that state. Obviously, Kalishtar in and of itself doesn't speak to you more than knowing that you have some history with the Kalishtar based upon your looks and your physical appearance. So it does. That's why you noticed it the way that you did, is because you're kind of sensitive to the idea of you hear Kalishtar and you kind of almost like the hackles rise a little bit where you're used to being associated with the Kalishtar.
Okay. So hearing that, I suppose I probably would poke my head in and just see what's going on.
Perfect. So you look around, you see the same tavern-esque scene that Zorg saw when he walked in. Nothing too crazy going on with the scene other than you do look ahead and you see Yana standing there in this weird state of confusion. You don't, again, know that it is Yana. You just see Yana's character there with him pleading with this bugbear as to why he has manacles attached to his hand. It's an odd scene for a tavern, especially during a festival. So that's about the only thing that sticks out to you, but you don't know what's going on there. You just see that happening in the background.
Okay. Well, I mean, if I don't really notice what's going on, I guess I would just kind of walk in and head towards the bar and keep my eyes open, ears open.
Perfect. Okay. So Nelisian is now walking towards the bar. We kind of shift back to Yana talking to Zorg.
Does Zog see Nelisian?
Zog does. Well, roll me a perception real quick. Are you trying to hide your approach to the bar, Nelisian? Or are you just kind of strolling in? Okay.
No, I would just start.
It'd be a 15.
You do see him approaching.
2 for 1 for Zog. Here, come here. I'm gonna kind of yank on the one from the chain that's attached to Yana.
Oh my god!
Make my way towards Nelisian.
Okay. So, Nelisian, you've now walked in. You're making your way towards the bar, kind of not really knowing what drug you in here, other than you heard some rumblings that kind of intrigued you a little bit with your seeking of knowledge. And now all of a sudden, somebody who in a roundabout way to your appearance because of their hair reminds you a little bit of yourself, from that pale complexion-esque look. And attached to this person that you kind of relate to a little bit is this towering bugbear that is leading Yana along by manacles. And they're making their way pretty pointedly towards you.
I think I would probably just stand up as straight as I can and wait for him, see what he's going to do.
Perfect. Okay. So yeah, you guys close the distance. You guys are now kind of in this awkward area where you're not quite to the tavern tables. You're a little bit away from the bar, kind of in this little area that it's just kind of for mingling. And that's kind of where you guys find yourself. You're face to face. Zog next to Nelisian, with Yana still kind of pulling up the rear a little bit, questioning his existence and why he's attached to a manacle.
You pull me a little bit lighter? I need my wrist to play the bagpipes. We're barely here for 2 days, and we've already got ourselves attached to an oaf.
Right when you say you need your hands to play the bagpipe, the barkeep is like, lock up both of his hands, please. No bagpipes.
I kind of look at where my hand is already attached to the manacle and the other manacle, and I look at now. It's going to be a while. I'm sorry.
Nelisian.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Here, put this on your other wrist. I'll hand the manacles to Yana.
Yana will say, I would love to, and pretends to attach it to his other wrist.
All right. Okay. Now, first I'll take my free hand and pull out my little strip of birch bark and kind of like eyeball Nelisian. How is his hair whiter than the birch bark?
Is your hair whiter than birch bark, Nelisian?
It would not be, no. It's still blonde. It's just as light a blonde as you can get, so it would be darker.
That was a close one. I thought you were Kalashtar. Are you Kalashtar? Wait. Is that a wig?
It is not a wig. I'm surprised they let your kind out of the waste.
They do it so I can hunt for Kalashtar.
I gathered as much.
Roll me another history check there, Nelisian.
Sure. Oh, 17.
Perfect. As Zog is talking, you're kind of getting a glimpse of like Yana back there in their drunken state, acting like they're putting these manacles on, which is kind of like a joke at this point because Yana thinks it's realistic, but I mean, they're 4 ales in at this point. They're just kind of clipping it to get.
It's watered down.
That's okay. That's fair. That's fair. But as you're looking over at them, you're kind of getting this weird tingling in the back of the head that doesn't look like any Kalashtar you've ever seen. And not only that, you associate a higher intellect with Kalashtar than the show that we're seeing where they're clearly fumbling with putting manacles on their own wrists.
Okay. So I still have a chicken thigh in my hand.
It's true.
So I'm going to hand it to my new acquaintance and ask him, would you like to finish my turkey leg?
Looks like a pigeon.
It does. Take it up with the gnome outside, but it is delicious.
Okay.
What's your name, friend?
Zog.
You're hunting for Kalashtar. The man behind you is no Kalashtar I've ever seen or heard of.
Yana, at this point, makes it very known that he's no longer attached to 2 manacles and points with one hand on his hip and the other one pointing at him. I told you!
No.
My name is Yana!
Oh, I forgot to lock it.
Wait, the other one's unlocked too? Yana checks to make sure the other manacle.
I was trying to yes and you. Like I thought you were saying you're free of the one attached to Zog.
So as you're sitting there or standing there and you guys have all had this conversation, a very drunk patron walks by and is like, Psh, yeah, you guys act like you know what a Kalishtar is. You've never seen one. And kind of like stumbles out of the bar pretty quickly. Kind of
Hey,
yes.
is that a wig?
The drunken guy turns around and like is like this and like pulls on his hair, and he's so drunk he actually like pulls out a chunk of hair and he's like looking at it and he's like, oh, it's not a wig that I can tell. And he like stumbles out around the corner around the tavern out of sight.
I'm gonna hold up my piece of birch bark and try and eyeball him with it.
Perfect.
Hold the phone. Kalishtar is not a person. What is a Kalishtar?
Well, Kalishtar are people, yes.
A people?
Yes.
You're just arresting me because I look like a person?
They're banned.
What do you mean banned?
They got banned. Okay, I might need to walk back some of his dumbness.
You can walk it back. Feel free to go with it. That's totally fine.
It's a 9.
No
It's not a 4. His intelligence is a 9. Yeah, Kalishtar. They walk with one foot in the dreamlands, and I think the house. What was the name of the house?
House of Tanlon.
House Tanlon banned them for causing the nightmares.
Well, I have been called a dreamer, but I don't know anything about what you just said.
Kalishtar.
I don't. Your breath smells really bad. Are you gonna eat that chicken leg?
Yeah.
Okay. Elysian has walked away and is now sitting at the bar, just so everybody knows. He has no interest in this right now.
I didn't get a drink yet. I'm still thirsty.
Oh, well, go to the barkeep and remember, I might have told you my name is Yana, but the tab is under George. So that's the tab it's under.
Oh, you want to buy me a drink?
I certainly would love to.
Okay.
All right. So you all make your way to the bar. The barkeep is excited by Nelisian walking up and then realizes that it's shortly followed by Zog and Yana, and is like, dear God, I have to deal with these guys again. Comes up and is like, what can I get for you? And before Yana opens his mouth, he puts his finger on Yana's mouth, like the shushing motion, and is like, these two. And he directs his attention towards Zog and Nelisian while still holding his finger in place in front of Yana's face.
This is incredibly rude.
Your finest local ale will do just fine, thank you.
Perfect. And for you, and he looks at the bugbear. And as he does that, he's tapping his finger against Yana's face because he assumes Yana's going to say something again.
You have some fire water.
Fire water. Yes. And then he kind of slowly turns and he's like, what do you want? And he moves his hand from in front. 2. You want 2? And right there, he was getting ready to like let Yana talk. And then he said 2, and he's like, oh, I can definitely do that. And he taps Yana again. Is like, stop talking for a second. I'm still finishing my order. And then he
put it on George's tab.
Oh, so this fine man. And he kind of taps Yana on the cheek. And he's like, it's going to buy you guys your drinks.
And then Yana will say, not only am I going to buy them their drinks, but I'm also going to give you a helpful tip. I think you should wash your hands.
He reaches back up and pats Yana, who he thinks is George, on the face, and is like, to you, make yourself more professional. I will not make myself more professional for you. And he kind of walks away. He grabs your guys' drinks, slides them across the table. George now, who he thinks now is Yana, is his tab is running up. So you guys all have your drinks now. Yana with the watered down ale. You guys with your guys' according drinks. Roll me. Well, actually, you guys have your drinks. What do you want to do?
Yana, to the barkeep's wisdom, he's not getting as plastered as he thought. He's kind of plateaued. And when he gets a little bit, tipsy, he has a little bit more wits about him. He likes to look for loose coin purses. And so he's going to look around to see who maybe is the drunkest, who's maybe distracted by the concert.
Okay. Give me a perception check first. If we're checking for the state of drunkenness, give me a perception check real quick.
19.
And 19. So far the most drunk person that you've seen is the guy that stumbled in front of you, ripped a chunk out of his hair out, showed it to Zog, and then walked out of the bar. Outside of that, you see kind of like the mishmash of like people that are having a good time. Nobody really strikes you as a particularly drunk person.
Mm-hmm.
You do feel like there are some people at the bar in particular that are distracted enough mixed with their drunkenness that you might have some success there.
Okay. I would love to approach one of them and put my arm around them and introduce myself.
Okay. So in front of you, before you choose who you're going to put your arms in front of, at the end of the bar, kind of near where the music is being played, you have kind of a slightly heavier set woman sitting there joking around with two other people behind her. It's another couple. They're kind of in a jovial state where they're listening to the music as much as they are actually having conversation. Next to them, you have who you believe is kind of a middle-aged half-elf hanging out there, sipping on the equivalent of a nice whiskey. And then closest to, if you assume that it's the lady, him, this person, and then Zog, Nelision, and then you. Next to the other side of them is, again, another kind of like middle-aged man, human descent. He doesn't look as drunk as the next two. So you kind of get that option of the three people there. The woman kind of being in a slightly bigger group, the other two presumably running solo. Who do you want to put your arms around?
My arms around the jovial woman.
The jovial woman. Perfect. Okay. So you swing your arm around the jovial woman and all conversation stops. As soon as you put your arm around it and she goes, "Excuse me, what do you think you're doing?"
Madam, I was over there next to that smelly giant bear thing and that other guy with the long hair that's blonde but not quite as light as birchwood. And I could not keep my eyes off of you. And you just had this magnetic allure. And I just felt like I needed to come over here and talk with you for a moment.
When she hears this, she's kind of looking out of the corner of her eye, looking at the two patrons that you were talking about. She crosses her arms below her breast and is like, "And do you think this concerns me? Why?"
Well, I just simply wanted to come over here and lend you my attention. Maybe go dance to the music at hand.
Right when you say that, she gives you what you perceive as the finger right away, but what she's actually doing is showing her ring finger to you. And it has a big old wedding ring on her finger. And she says, "And why would you think that I have any interest in any of that?"
Does the wedding ring look like she's worn it for too few years and it's kind of like pudgy on either side and it's going to be really hard to get off? Or does it look like It's actually sized appropriately, and I could get that off if I wanted to.
You assume the years have not been kind for her weight wise after having been married. So you choose to interpret that how you want. It looks like it's well placed on her ring finger.
Okay. Maybe I misread the signals that you were putting out, Madame. And he does a slight little bow. But while I may not be able to offer you the loyalty of whatever that band represents, I am quite famous in many parts of the world. And so I would be more than happy to enchant you for an evening so that you might have memories as you get older.
She sits there for a second and is like, I think that I will pass, and slowly kind of like puts her arm on your chest, pushing you away just gently.
Yana will happily take the L, as I did not go as well as he had hoped. And he will, with great confidence, strut back over to the bar and think to himself, well, you win some, you lose some. But he'll also think to himself, why are you wasting our time? We have more important things to figure out than you flirting and trying to steal petty trinkets.
Okay. So I take nobody else saw that interaction. What just happened right there? It's just you looking like you're kind of nonchalantly talking to yourself, maybe giving yourself a little bit of a pep talk after getting shot down just a little bit. Nothing out of the ordinary. At that point, so I'm gonna pause it here for just a second because this is a breaking point where, depending on how much later you guys want to stay up, will depend on how this conversation goes. So it's up to you guys. The next section, depending on what you get into, could play out to roughly about an hour. So I want to give you guys the opportunity to say that this is enough for right now. We can theoretically pick up in the same spot because I do have some other stuff planned where I could force the rest of the group once they get here into the same scenario, or we can keep going. It's up to you guys.
I personally am good with keeping going, but I can do what the group wants to do.
I am good as well. Keith?
Part of me wants to wait for the rest of the group, but we can keep going for a little more.
Cool. Yeah, I can keep it going. And I can kind of shape it accordingly, assuming that we kind of want to maybe taper this a little bit. I can kind of get you guys started on the next section, and we can maybe go from there.
Maybe you introduce it to us, and then when you introduce the rest of the group, they're already in the room seeing what's unfolding.
Cool. That works for me. So having overheard that, the half-elf gentleman that is sitting at the bar kind of meanders over to the other side of Yana there and looks up and is like, I don't want to be nosy or to stick my nose where it doesn't belong, but I couldn't help it over here that you, and he points at Zog and he's like, you thought these two were Kalishtar. I hate to break it to you, you are sadly mistaken. These are, well, maybe not the farthest away from Kalishtar that I've ever seen. I would say that you are barking up, or, barking, and he points at your bark in your hand, the wrong tree. And he goes, and you need to stop hitting on every woman that walks into this bar. And he's pointing at Yana there. And he goes, and you, I don't know who you are, but you're the only one so far that I've seen that has sense at this bar. Maybe it's because you've not drank. Maybe it's because you've drank too much and your wits are not about you. But I have a proposition for you, if you would like to hear it.
I'm all ears. You've done a great job of buttering me up.
Nilisian doesn't say anything. He's just kind of half-turned looking at him.
Perfect. So
why
that's
what? Is it a job?
So the half elf standing there, as Zog and Yana open their mouth, he puts his fingers on their lips and is like, "You're not who I want to hear from." and he looks at Nelisian and is like, I'm expecting you to answer, having not been in the drunken state as these two, or the foolish state of this one. And he points at Zog and he goes, and you're foolish and drunk. And he points at Yana and he goes, I don't want to hear from you. I want to hear from Nelisian.
How dare you? I'm not drunk.
I'm not a fool. I'm very much drunk.
Did you see him hit his head?
I mean, it looks like with as big as this guy's ego as it makes sense that he hit his head somewhere, for right or wrong, I don't know. And he's still like covering Yana's mouth, where he's like, I don't want to hear from you at the moment.
Nelisian will go from the half-turn look out of the corner of his eye and turn back towards fully to the bar and ignore him.
He moves the half elf removes his hands and is like, okay, I thought I could go for the broad approach. It appears I have to go for the direct approach. He goes, you're seeking answers. Yes. Correct, Nelisian.
He will whip around and just stare.
And he looks at Zog and he's like, and you, my compatron Zog, you are looking for a job. I mean, you already alluded to that. It's not rocket science, but I do know that that is what you are here for, if I'm not mistaken.
What is that?
What is the job, or what is not mistaken?
What is a rocket?
Yes. Rocket. Do you know what a firework is?
Yeah.
Explodes, bright lights. Illuminators normally have them.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yes. Bigger one of those. And he looks at Yana and he goes, I have a feeling when I talk to you, I should anticipate multiple conversations. Is that right, Yana?
Yeah, I don't like you, but if you're going to pay us, you have my attention. And you, silent guy, I like your vibe. You remind me of someone. You make me feel kind of warm and cozy inside. I'm sorry. I talk a little extra when I'm a little bit tipsy. And I gotta say, I kind of want to be your friend. And then he's going to touch Zog's chest. And you know what? You're softer than I thought.
Nelisian will stand and gently put his hand on Yana's shoulder and push him into a stool. And then ask the gentleman, what's your name? And what do you want with me? I don't know these people, but if you have something to talk about with me, we can chat.
Hold on, give me just a second. Hold on, I need to check something on the stat sheet that I have here.
That's happening. I'm going to slide Yana my drink.
Firewater?
Yeah, I thought you were Kalishtar. So here's that.
You know what? Cheers to you. Let's let bygones be Kalistars. And he'll raise the. I mean, down with the Kalistar. We don't like them.
I don't mind them.
We don't mind the Kalistar. So while all of this is going, while all of this is going on, the half elf is kind of sitting there making eye contact while attempting to not kind of chuckle at the other two having a conversation in front of him while he's locked eyes with Nelisian. And he goes, I don't know if you know my name.
I
you haven't said it. How would we know?
Well, that's a fair point. But I mean, you two half-wits, I wouldn't expect to know anybody's names. I'm surprised you even know yours, but this guy seems to know what he's talking about, and I go by the name of Hoyd.
Hoyd the fireworks scientist.
Do you have any?
Any rockets? I have a couple of fireworks. I can't say that I have tested them, but I do have some. I'm not saying that they're for purchase. I'm not saying they're not for purchase.
Keep your secrets.
And right then he kind of like flips his coat jacket a little bit, and you see on the inside of his thing, he has a couple of wares for sale on the inside, and he quickly closes it. And he's like, that's for a later time. But anyways, you may or may not know me as Hoyd or whatever you may know me. And he kind of trails off there for a second. And he goes, what do I want with you? It's not that I want something from you. It's that I think you can provide a service that our, I was going to say great continent of Tezra needs. Maybe not so great anymore, but it might be in need of your services, and I might be able to provide you with the answers that you seek in exchange.
Yana mutters to himself, he said we're in a place called Tezra. And then he's kind of just rummaging through his bag.
Yeah.
Hoyd is going to turn to Yana and give me a... I need Zog and Nalisian to give me a perception check.
Okay.
And I need you to also give me a perception check with advantage, Yana.
Oh,
19.
I rolled a 19 also. Let's go.
For the 24.
Holy shit.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Damn, boy.
Ranger.
Damn, boy.
Rangers.
So with the perception check, you said 24, you said 19, and you said 19. Was that with your advantage?
It was.
Okay. So you hear everything that is said, Zog. You hear about every other word, Nalisian. The only reason that Yana hears everything is because Hoyd directed his voice towards him in a whisper. That's the only reason you don't hear everything. Hoyd looks at Yana and is like, so you're hearing some voices as well. And just kind of leaves it at that.
Well, yeah.
When you say, yeah, Hoyd kind of looks at you and is like, yeah, what?
That's what you do with voices. You hear them.
It's a fair point. I mean, who doesn't hear voices? I mean, I'm hearing voices from the other side of the tavern right now.
Oh, I knew it. An old bugbear who couldn't.
Yana's going to get very stiff. Did you hear her too?
What are you talking about? I didn't hear anything. I just...
Nothing. Never mind. It's okay.
He looks back at Nalisian and is like, so are you interested, elf?
It's hard to say. You still haven't said anything.
I've told you your guys' names when I have no right to know them. I have pointed out the exact reason why all of you are here. I think that gives me a little bit of leeway for you to trust what I'm saying.
It only tells me you have nefarious methods of learning information. It doesn't tell me you have anything useful for me.
So let's say that I could point you in the direction of a house. Not going to say what house, but let's just say I could point you in the direction of a house that may or may not point you in the correct directions to find this the answers that you are looking for, in addition to maybe the Kalish star you are looking for, my fine furry friend. And I don't know quite what you're looking for, my he, him, her, whatever you are.
I'm Yana. I mean, George.
Okay, wait, hold on. Okay. I Okay, the bar keeps on keeping on. Um, I may or may not believe that this house that I could point you in may have the answers that you are looking for. For all three of you, 4 or 5 of you, I don't know what you count this person as, but kind of points his hands at Yana as he's trying to describe how many people are here. But he's like, I think it could have answers for you.
So
Yana's gonna slap Elysium on the back and say, "Well, why not? We got nothing better to do tonight."
I don't know you.
I think that you do.
It's
I think
George.
that you can. I think you can feel this
George,
thing between us.
if you could sit down
Answer
and
me
leave
this.
me be.
Answer me this. On a scale of 1 to 10, how badly would you want me to play the bagpipes right now?
0.
We're gonna be best friends.
What is that?
Yana has the locket of hair still in his hands and kind of like excitedly put it back in his component bag.
So Nelician, I'm not really into this. A strange person has come up to me spouting information that is weird that they know, offering quick answers when I've been traveling for who knows how long. I've traveled across the continent. I don't think I like what's happening. I don't know if you would like me to roll something. If not, I know what I would like to do, so I'll take what I've said and okay. I am going to use my Blessing of the Raven Queen and teleport 30 feet as a bonus action and teleport outside the tavern and start walking away.
Is there a way for me to know generally in that 30 feet radius where he could have gone?
That's a good question. So, how quickly does all of this happen that you use your blessing to teleport? About how much time does this take?
As soon as Hoyd is done spewing his stuff, I will start turning as if to go back to the bar and teleport outside.
Here's the real question, though. Does your teleport require line of sight to your destination? If it does, I would say there's a chance that Yana can see.
It does not. I can teleport to any place within 30 feet as long as it's an unoccupied space.
Okay, hold on. Give me just a second. I'm looking something up real quick. And I will let you know.
I take that back. I do have to see it. So are there... Maybe I do have to roll for something. Are there windows?
There are windows. So you see the door. The door is a solid oak door. So unless the door is open, which in this case it is not, you cannot see through the door, but you can see light from the street vendors outside the window on either side of the door. So you can either go to what you can see on the left-hand side or the right-hand side of the door.
I will go to the right-hand side. So I'll turn, the same motion. I'll turn as if I'm going back to the bar, but I make a quick glance out the window and use my teleport to teleport 30 feet outside where I can see.
I would like to immediately, after I see him pop up on the other side of the window, Misty Step.
So give me a perception check to see if you see him on the other side of the window first.
16.
And then are you trying to be stealthy about your departure here?
No.
Not you, Nelician. Sorry.
I would
like, would you want to get out of this situation without anyone knowing where you're at? I guess is the better question.
I don't think that would be on his mind. I'm in a full room of patrons. Okay. He's obviously looking at me. I just want to leave. I have no interest in what this man is spewing.
Okay. So you have no interest. You're not trying to hide it. What was your perception check there, Yana?
16.
Since you're not wanting to hide it, Yana's gonna misty step next to you.
God damn it.
But right before I miss a step, I'm gonna yell, Zorg, meet me outside. Yes, I'm saying names I'm wrong on purpose.
All right, what do you guys want to do? So this Hoyd half elf is just standing at the bar right now. He hasn't done anything yet.
So, what was the job?
So I'm glad you stayed around, my furry friend. So it's not as much of a job as we've had this strange disappearance of, I guess, townsfolk. And for I guess, a better definition of said townsfolk, they are younger. And I'm not going to beat around the bush. It's children. Children are missing. There is a house that we have strong suspicion may be tied to this. We're not quite sure, but not to get your hopes up, the house is acting kind of weird, as do any dream state related houses that maybe some of your, as you say, Kalish star may be associated with. But with that being said, I will not give you the location of said house unless you figure out how to get those two involved.
Okay. I'll get up and go outside.
So, hold on. Roll me a perception check there, Zorg. Zog. I keep saying Zorg for some reason.
Because Yana keeps saying it wrong on purpose.
I'm right.
Lowest roll of the day. I rolled a 3 for 8.
Wait, that is totally fine. You don't know anything out of the obvious right now. What pocket do you keep your manacles in? Does it matter?
Yeah, I'm not sure it matters. One of the front pouches, so they're easy to get to.
Okay, cool. This is going to sound like a very loaded question here, and it kind of is. When you walk out, are your hands in your pockets or are they out in front of you as you're leaving?
Probably out because it's just so lanky and one likes to swing his arms.
No worries. Okay, that's all I need to know.
He likes to swing his arms.
Okay, cool.
It's the simple things in life.
That's all I need to know. So as you turn to walk away, Hoyd kind of pats you on the side and is like, okay, best of luck turning them around. If not, I won't tell you the whereabouts of said house, but I wish you luck in getting them back in because, the children, they need help. So best of luck.
I'll tell them exactly what you told me.
Cool. And he goes, and don't forget, as you're walking out, he's like, don't forget to lock them up if you have to. And he kind of like pats where your manacles are and he lets you walk out.
Okay.
Cool. What do you guys want to do? So right now we have Yana and Nelisian outside of the tavern.
Yes, I have teleported outside and just started walking.
And now I have teleported outside. I'm immediately behind you. And I yell, Rolo! I mean, Nelisian! Wait!
George,
So
I
I'm
don't
gonna
have
run out.
time for you.
What'd you say, Zog?
I'm going to run out and look around, and they should stand out with their very light hair.
Yes. You run out and you immediately see them. They're not being subtle about anything that they're doing. And they definitely do stand out like a sore thumb.
Listen.
Hey.
Oh, that was fucking fast. Elysian, as you can tell, I am going to be around. You can teleport, and I'm going to teleport. You can run, and I'm gonna run. I've got a good feeling about this. Okay.
Good
And
feeling about what?
you and me, dude.
What do you mean, you and me? There is no you and me. I simply walked into a tavern. Now I'm walking out.
Together. See? It's like
No.
destiny. You and I are walking out together. We both teleported together.
You got to walk back in.
Oh,
Why?
God.
And the Hoyd has a job.
Yes.
Something is missing kids. Something to do with the house. They're not inside the house, or I don't know. He didn't look inside the house.
See, Nalisian, we could go save some kids and be town heroes, and then we'll get a reward, and we're gonna be rich. And we'll do it together. You and me, like old times. Well, we're gonna make them old times. We're gonna make new memories. We're gonna be best friends.
I should have stayed in the forest. But I can't leave kids in trouble.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn around and scratch the chin of Zog. You remind me of a walrus I once knew.
He's Hoyd is he's not gonna say which house until you guys come back in. He said to lock you up, but it didn't work before, so I don't know. Oh, I got an idea. I'm gonna pull out a 50-foot length of rope. You guys want to like tie yourselves up?
So I need to know, where do you pull the rope from? Is it in your pack? Is it in a pocket?
It's in a pack.
Okay, it's in a pack.
Yeah.
Okay, so while this is happening, give me a nature check, Nalisian.
Okay. Straight roll. That's a 7.
Okay. Thankfully, you didn't need a lot. It was pretty much making sure you didn't critical fail here. As he's pulling out the rope, you notice a couple of leaves fall from the pack of Zog. You notice these leaves remind you an awful lot of the leaves from the tree that you used to know as you were walking the forest of your hometown.
Noted.
So that's all you know. That's
Okay.
Doesn't make any sense. It doesn't speak anything to the other two,
Sure.
other than Zog probably would realize that this is a little bit unusual for him to have leaves in his backpack. But outside of that, it's nothing too crazy.
Elysium will start heading back into the tavern. What's the tavern's name?
It's a good question. Let me see. I had that written down at one point. Let me find my tab.
Is it called Tucker's Place?
No, it is not called Tucker's Place.
No,
We're wasting our time not getting the steak if it's Sucker's Place.
Yeah, for real.
Hold on, let me find my tab here.
Steaks
So
out
it's called
loud.
the Golden Light Tavern.
Okay. I will head back towards the Golden Light Tavern and head back inside. Is Hoyd still inside?
Roll me a perception check. If all of you guys want to figure out if Hoyd's inside, you can roll me a perception check.
1.
Perfect.
13.
13.
13.
You said a 13 as well?
Yeah.
Perfect. So at first glance, the two of you don't notice anything. Nalisian does notice that Hoyd has made his way over to the band on stage and does look like he is getting ready to step up next and perform.
Hoyd is going to perform.
That's what it looks like.
Is George still like tailing me like a lost puppy?
George, are you tailing him like a lost puppy?
Oh, where Nelysium goes, George goes.
Okay.
God damn it. Nelisian leans back and says, "Looks like he's going to take your spotlight, George."
We'll see about that. And
Maybe
Yana
you should do something about that.
I think that you're right. Yana, with now the encouragement and the positive reinforcement of his new best friend, is going to take his bagpipes out of his backpack. And he's going to walk up stage. And he's going to say, "Howdy. I'm going to stop you right there, mister. You're not going to perform just yet. Georgie's going to perform."
Was this directed at Hoyd?
Yes.
Okay. Hoyd stands there and is like, I guess I'll give you the stage. This is not the traditional battle of the bards that I am used to, but by all means, the stage is yours.
Yana will start to lick his lips as he starts to prep himself. He's going to then open up his bag as well and put it on the stage. And he says, "Everyone, my name is George." Nothing really rhymes with George. "My name is George the Magnificent. I will play you a song that will get you up on your feet. I just merely ask that as you enjoy the tunes that I'm about to play for you, you just simply donate to the cause of a great time and what it takes to get a good time going. So please, if you love what I do, spare a few coins here or there, and let us all be merry." And he starts blowing hot air into his bagpipes.
Get your head.
And then we'll start to play some bagpipes.
God. While all of this is happening, the barkeep takes some earplugs out and puts them in his ears and says, "There's not enough ale in this bar to stop any of this from making sense," and goes back to what they're doing.
And I definitely would like to hopefully get some coin out of this performance.
Go ahead and roll me a performance check.
Hell yeah. Performance and persuasion are my two biggest things next to deception.
Okay. What do we have?
It's 22.
How much?
22.
Okay.
22.
Give me just a second here. Ooh. Okay. So you get a mixed reaction from your bagpipe playing.
Mixed.
What you don't know is that Hoyd has been blessing this tavern with his sweet loot for the last foreseeable, or for the not foreseeable future. Leading up to this, it has been a lot of Hoyd performances. So you're falling a little bit short of what they're used to for top tier echelon performances on stage. You are getting some loose change thrown at you. You've had an empty glass thrown at you while somebody shouted, "I hate the bagpipes." And then the next person threw a full beer at you and said, "I hope you drown in this like I'm drowning in your music." And then you've kind of got this, like, the more drunk group of people is pretty excited that you're playing. They don't really care the style of music that you're playing. They just want to be entertained. So all in all, you've collected roughly about 7.5 silver worth of coins thrown at you while you're at the stage. Some of them hitting you, some of them hitting the stage. You're getting a little bit of mixed reaction while Hoyd is standing there clapping on the side. And it's like, it's a suitable performance, I guess.
Well, that's 7.5 silver I didn't have before. I am so happy that I, George the Magnificent, could bless your ear holes tonight with the warm, welcoming tones of my bagpipes. I want to thank you all for your time, and I will gladly, as he bows, come again anytime you would like. And he very proudly struts over to Nelisium and Zog, and he goes, bet you guys didn't know I was that talented, did you?
No, that was something that kind of Kalash Star nightmare bag.
So while all of this is going on, I would like Zog to roll a perception check, and I would like Yana to roll a perception check at disadvantage.
Perception check at disadvantage.
Yes, please. So roll twice and give me the lowest of the two.
Got another dirty 20.
Okay.
7.
Okay. So I will, because all of this happened so quickly, and with your roll being so high, Zog, I will let you decide what you wanted to do, even though we've already had a slight conversation here. In the midst of the performance, Nelisian stepped out of the tavern. Yana does not know until Yana gets down off the stage that Nelisian is gone. Zog, you would have known that he left if you choose to go with him. He wasn't trying to necessarily hide what he was doing. He just chose that opportunity to walk outside and to discuss something with somebody outside.
Just watch as I watch him leave. My eyes dart to him, and then to Yana, and to Hoyd, and then to him, and then to Yana and to Hoyd. I'll say, he came back. Can you tell me where that house is?
Okay, so Hoyd stands there for a second, and
Did you look in the house?
I have not. Well, I have been in a house. I have been around this house, and he kind of does this motion, kind of like waving to everything around him, and he goes, the particular house you're talking about, I will not divulge whether I've been in or out until I have all three of you. And the minute that happens, he vanishes for a half second and he comes right back. And he goes, I think we'll have the third here in just a moment. So as you step outside, Nelisian, you walk up to the gnome. Mm-hmm. And right when you walk up to the gnome at the stall, you see Hoyd pop in for a half a second, move the gnome out of the way, hand you a piece of paper, and vanish. And he comes back inside. Hoyd is standing next to Zog and Yana. He's kind of patting Yana on the back and is like, well, if your performance is half as well as you are at lying to people about who you really are, I would say that you're halfway there. And he turns to Zog and he goes, depending on what that one does, and he kind of points back over his shoulder. He goes, well, I can tell you the house is in the northern part of the city, but that's the extent I'm going to give you right now. Give me just a second. I have to type the note out to Nelisian real quick.
Okay.
I'm really offended that Nelisium is not taking Tiana right now. And Yana's offended too.
Did anybody ever?
That's fucking rude. I got inspiration points because Yana started to become the crowd favorite. By the crowd, I mean Keith's.
The bagpipes were clutch against that knoll cave.
Hell yeah, they were.
That is true.
That and the fireball.
Mm-hmm.
Can we not forget that I slayed the dragon?
David or whatever. Keith. Kevin.
Kevin? Kevin, not.
Kent.
Kent.
He's done.
Okay. That is the note that you receive.
I want to read it.
He'll head back inside.
Fascinating.
And I will be honest, I think this is as good of a place to end it as we're going to get. Before we get into the scenario that's about to unfold, I think this is as healthy of a spot to end it.
Okay.
Sounds good.
What a great time. I got to fail at pickpocketing someone. I got to play the bagpipes. Yana's living his best life, and it is amazing.
I am so excited about the next session. I'm not going to lie. I anticipated the session that we've had so far lasting 20 minutes. Like what we've had, I had anticipated 20 minutes and then we'd be done with the next scenario. And it was going to have no frame of reference. It's going to set you guys up nicely for the main story. But the way that you guys have proceeded so far, naturally, this fits in with the progression of the story, which is why I slowed things down. And I think it makes sense to wait for the rest of the group.
Sweet.
Cool.
Good deal.
So,
is there anything you would like to tell the audience as we wait for the next session, which regrettably will be November 14th? That is when the full group will be together. We didn't explain this at the front, but this is only half of the players. There's going to be 3 more players joining the party as Jesse leads us on this adventure. So.
No, I mean, outside of the fact that you guys are in, I feel like for a fun and wild ride as we explore the waking world and the dream world. If this is any indication of the group that we're going to have moving forward, I feel very confident that we're going to have some fun RP aspects moving forward. I think you guys are going to get some really exciting story development amongst our players, and I cannot wait to show you what may or may not unfold in the next session. Sweet. I'm very excited.
Interesting.
Good deal.
Can't wait to see Zog in a fight, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me either. I have never been able to fight before.
All right. Well, we appreciate your time, and we hope you enjoyed this episode 0 introduction to the Nerd D&D Campaign 1. We'll see you on around November 14th. We'll be streaming this, of course, on November 14th. Podcast in audio form will be releasing shortly thereafter, and the video on demand released on YouTube shortly thereafter as well. So we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Have a wonderful evening, everyone.